So last night I was talking to a friend of mine, and she happens to be black, and we were talking about white privilege and some of the examples that I gave of white privilege in that conversation were the fact that my father was offered a very large discount on a house once from a friend of my grandfather in order to keep the neighborhood white, right? And the fact that I first saw the concentric circles theory in action when I was going to the University of Milwaukee, and the surrounding neighborhoods are almost entirely black, but the university itself, in the middle of it, it's 8% of the students are black. And it just leaves you to wonder, why aren't people going to the university right next door to them? It's the privilege of all the people that are driving in from other neighborhoods. And Milwaukee is a perfect example of the concentric circles theory, where white flight has chased the white people out to the suburbs, like all the way out to Waukesha, and then the oldest buildings in the city, the downtown area and all that, all of a sudden, when the prices get low enough, the white people want to come back and they want to gentrify that neighborhood. So there's a dot in the middle of a bunch of cities where the gentrification starts again in the center of the city, because it's just convenient to get around downtown. And then the surrounding neighborhoods around that will be minorities, and then the extreme suburbs will be the white people who have had flight from their previous neighborhoods, and the concentric circles just keep on getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. And I also explained that I thought it was strange that I just filmed a Bernie Sanders rally, and I was able to get a press pass with no prior registration, just having a big camera and walking right up. And I opened my camera bag for them to search. They didn't even search my bag, because I don't look like somebody who's trying to start problems. I'm a white guy with a camera, and they just let me right in. And I got my press pass and set up right next to the press corps, who were also mostly white. And then I took video footage of Bernie Sanders' rally, which had, I would say, a good 5% Latino presence, but mostly a lot of white people, right? And you can watch that video for yourself. I pulled out a bunch of times and zoomed out so you could see the crowd. I took a picture from behind my camera to show that I was filming Bernie, and in the picture, I think there's maybe one Latino person, and everybody else in the picture is white, or presumably white. And I thought, well, why aren't black people showing up to support Bernie Sanders? He marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's one of the things that he's known for. In fact, there were t-shirts of him being arrested on that bridge with MLK Jr. MLK Jr. is not in the picture, but there's Bernie Sanders getting arrested by two policemen. And most people who go to a Bernie Sanders event, they know the context of that picture, right? And it was just that picture of him getting dragged off by two policemen, and just Bernie Sanders across the bottom. You can find that t-shirt now cheaper than you could get it at a live event. online and just search Bernie Sanders arrested T-shirt. And in the picture, there's two white cops. There's a white Bernie Sanders, and off in the distance, you can like barely make out that there's a black person in the background. So it's like even the cropping of that picture was, kind of, to me, it felt odd that they're selling that Bernie was a part of that event, but they're not like really selling the whole context with it. They're selling this T-shirt to largely a white audience, and I just felt like just the fact that we were all able to show up and feel safe together, and some people don't feel safe doing those things. I felt that's a part of white privilege. So my friend, not going to name her, she looked at me and said, I don't think you know what the fuck white privilege is. I'm trying to raise my kid so he doesn't die by the time he's done being a teenager. Police coming up in here and they're shooting up the place like black people are target practice, and they'll shoot a black person just to see if their gun works. Right? I'm trying to keep my kid alive. Right? And so I thought about that. Yeah, that's kind of an extreme example of my white privilege that I never think about is, I'm not worried about being shot to death by police. Okay. But it doesn't mean that I don't experience white privilege in my way, or that I couldn't empathize with the way that other people experience white privilege or disadvantage in her case. And I wouldn't be a counselor or in the behavioral fields if I didn't think that you could try to understand somebody else's perspective through empathy, to a point where you could actually help them. I wouldn't be in my job if I thought that was the case. But the way that I took what she said was really that there was no point in me ever trying to understand, right? All of the books that I might have read on multiculturalism and diversity and, every lesson that I ever got in class, I'm never really going to understand because I never lived it, right? That's the perspective that she was putting off to me. That's what it engendered, is really, no, you're an old crusty white dude and you're never going to understand. And it leaves me wondering, like, is this like one of those painful cycles of people don't understand, so other people get angry at them and declare that they're never going to understand, so they give up trying to understand. Like Fat Bastard in the Austin Powers movie. I'm fat because I'm depressed, and I'm depressed because I'm fat. It's one of those vicious cycles that, even in the behavioral fields, you'll see it pop up sometimes. Like, we should understand this shit. We should see it when it presents itself, but I don't feel we do. Sometimes people are just really connected to certain issues in a way that it's just too close for them to really see outside of what they're saying and how it affects people. And it made me not want to say to my friend, I think some of what you're feeling is hyperbole, because, you're going right to, like, death, and, police are going to use my kid for target practice. And I don't think that that's largely the case. in most of America. And there are steps you can take to make your life a lot safer from that than worrying about it so persistently that you can't allow other people to empathize with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm going to have some more thinks on this and get back with you guys.